Hey everybody, how's it going? B Temple here again, coming back with a another ration review for you. The last ration I ran through was a Russian 24-hour IRP. Today we're going to come back with something a little different, European, but a completely different region of Europe. So this sort of nondescript looking kind of box contains this here, menu number 6. This is a Danish 24-hour ration, and it says wet. That denotes the fact that this ration is meant for, I guess, summer is the designation they use, either summer or winter. Winter rations would normally have all freeze-dried items. This has a mixture of what you would call a wet or retort pouch, regular MRE style kind of entree, as well as a freeze-dried or regular muesli kind of breakfast item. As you can see here, this whole 24-hour ration holds 3,747 calories. It's a little bit old, and the box is a little bit beat up, as you can see. It was produced on either, I guess, the 3rd month, 9th day of 2015, or the, I guess, 3rd day, 9th month, 2015. But I'm not entirely sure what the sort of convention for dates like that would be in Europe. So sometime in 2015. And the box itself is a very thin sort of cardboard. We also have a label here on the back, Ration number 6, meat sticks with rice, wet. I know that doesn't sound like the most appetizing sort of thing in the world, but I guess we'll see when we get inside. Also, it shows here that technically the best before date of this ration is February 28th, 2016. Usually for these sort of rations, if there's an expiry date given, it's probably only for one particular item within the ration that has a very short shelf life. Everything else then after that probably has a much higher shelf life, especially the main components, the main sort of items, the main sides would probably have a very longer shelf life. So this is technically expired, but everything should be okay. I'd like to give a big shout out to Drew78 for helping me hook up this ration through another ration reviewer in the community by the name of Thortov. So Drew hooked it up and Thortov sent it to me. He also added some extras to go along with the fact that he sort of believed that some of the items would end up being expired, so I got some extra jam and biscuits, whatnot, that kind of thing. But this will be just what's within this ration. So we'll move along to what's inside. So we've got here our standard sort of looking brew kit. For anyone who's ever had a British ORP, this will look very similar to that. Just to sort of run through that first. It's just a regular sort of Ziploc kind of bag. Got 2 sporks. Usually an ORP would only come with 1, so it's a nice touch to get 2 of them. Got ourselves a toothbrush. And I believe from what I've seen from other reviews of this, that this bristles on the toothbrush are actually already impregnated with some sort of toothpaste kind of thing, so you don't actually need any toothpaste for this. Also have some toothpicks. Got some 3 antibacterial moist towelettes. 2 packs of Typhoo tea. 2 packs of sugar. 3 packs of Colombian freeze-dried coffee. So as you can see, one side, it's in English. The other side is in Danish, and I do not know how to read Danish, so thankfully it's also in English. Another toothpick. 3 packs of V6 sweet menthol gum. And we've got 3 packs of salt. And 3 packs of pepper. So that's the accessory pack, or brew kit, whatever you want to call it. Next, we got the I guess the rest of the items within the box itself. So for our breakfast, we've got ourselves a rather large pack of chocolate muesli. It's a fairly sizable portion, as I would usually say. It's 135 grams of muesli on its own, and yeah, looks like it should be pretty good. Next, we've got our main item, and this is an incredibly large pack, 400 grams. It's meat sticks with savory rice, also known as, I believe this is translated as ceviche, something like that. My pronunciation could be absolutely horrible, but that's what it seems to be. You will find, I believe, a similar entree to this in the German EPA rations as well. What else do we have? We've got ourselves a Bridgeford whole wheat bread. Got ourselves a packet of whole grain biscuits. A Fruit and Fun puree, and it's got the purple top, and it's raspberry blackcurrant, so that one should be pretty good. I know some people say these are kind of like baby food, but they're actually quite enjoyable. We've got 2 packets of fish. Oh, great. My most favorite fish in the entire world. If anyone's ever seen my Slovenian ration review, you'll know that mackerel and I do not get along well, but we've got a mackerel and tomato sauce, so we'll try this one out to see if there's any different than what I had before. And we've got just a tuna in water. Next, we've got a raw bite bar, apple cinnamon flavor. This is the larger 50-gram bar, so it's a nice size. So should be good. Got a packet of spicy sauce. So I assume that's meant for the main entree. Got a packet of peanut butter. Maybe go with the biscuits. We have ourselves a protein bar, raspberry flavor. As you'll notice, a lot of these items come from a company called Arifo. You will find Arifo in a lot of European rations. Everything from Swedish to British and all over. We've got a couple packs of jam. We've got ourselves a blackcurrant and a raspberry. Now these ones are some of the items that would be already expired. As you can see, 06, 09, 16. But it's jam. Nothing seems to be perforated. So it should be still pretty good. We've got Fruit Minis, apple blackcurrant, and by the feel of these, they seem to be sort of small, sort of, I guess, jelly type sort of candy, similar to what we would call, I think they're called belly button candy here. We've also got ourselves a packet of raisins, a little 25-gram pack. We've got ourselves a drink mix, Orifo's raspberry flavor. Now, hopefully this is similar to the British ORP raspberry beverage powder, because that actually is probably my favorite beverage powder I've had from any ration so far. So hopefully this is pretty much the same thing. We've also got a packet of cocoa flavored beverage powder, so just regular cocoa mix. Got a little 25-gram chocolate bar, and this one feels like it's in perfect condition. Hasn't melted in any way. It's got a uniform sort of shape and size. It hasn't been broken. We'll see when we open it up if it's ballooned in any way, shape, or form, or if it's still retaining its nice sort of regular chocolate look. And lastly, a couple other items. We've got 2 spreads. Now, this cheese spread with shrimp. I am not a fan of shrimp at all, so this is going to be an interesting journey to try that one out. And we've also got this, which it's some sort of spread as well, and I would think that would be blood. And yeah, I'm not entirely sure what kind of spread this is going to be, but it's probably going to be some sort of pate sausage kind of thing, if I had to guess. And lastly, got ourselves a packet of roasted and salted peanuts from Nutwalker, and these are incredibly vacuum sealed. There's no give to that whatsoever. I've had these before in British ORPs, and these are, you know, just really good quality peanuts, and the vacuum sealing is fantastic. These will last forever. So that's it, guys. Seems a little strange from some of the other reviews I've seen. It almost feels like this is missing a little something. I would have assumed that to go along with the main entree, I would have gotten some sort of flameless ration heater, but that appears to not be present. And it seems kind of strange to only give 2 drink mixes for a 24-hour ration. So it almost feels like I'm missing a drink mix of some kind. So I guess for breakfast, when we're going to have that now in a second, I guess I'm going to have to go with tea or something like that so I can save these other 2 drink mixes for later on. So we're going to get everything out onto a tray and see what we're going to have for our first meal. All right, be back in a second. All right, guys, so we got it all laid out on the tray. This is what we're going to have for the breakfast portion of the ration. Decided to go with a Thai Fu tea to drink, a packet of gum to sort of finish things off, a Fruit and Fun fruit puree, also a raspberry protein bar, and a packet of raisins, and our chocolate muesli. So first of all, let's get the muesli opened up and get it sort of constituting. Bit of powder. So, compared to other packets of muesli that I've seen in other rations, this is a fairly sizable portion. Got nice pieces of oats, and looks like we've also got pieces of apple in there, dried apple. And let's see, there we go. Apples. So yeah, it's got pieces of apples, got nice little chocolate chips in there, dried milk powder. Everything smells fantastic. Usually these dried milk powders can start to go bad after a few years, but this is well within the acceptable range for what's good for dry milk powder. So first of all, we're going to get some hot water for that. You could mix it with cold water, but I think today I'm going to try it with hot. Because of the fact it's got the chocolate in there, and that'll make it nicer if you sort of melt the chocolate a little bit. It's supposed to be 100 mils. I know I've got a full cup here, but just kind of eyeball a little bit. And start to give that a stir. Really trying to get down into those corners. Yeah, there you go. As you can see, still lots of powder down there. Don't want to plate this up later and then have just a pile of powder fall out on you. That's happened several times before. If anyone's ever had the mashed potato mix in Canadian IMPs, you'll know all about the dreaded powder that comes out from not stirring well enough. So that seems to be constituting very well. Because I use hot water, the chocolate has begun to melt. It's going to make a nice sort of chocolate milk to go along with it. And yeah, we're just going to cover this up for a few minutes and then move on to the rest of things on the table. Alright guys, so next we're going to get our tea ready. I usually don't have a whole lot of hot drinks, but as we were really only given 2 beverage powders for this meal, for this ration I mean, it feels like I kind of have to dip into the brew bag, which I normally wouldn't, and prepare something like tea. I'm not a coffee drinker at all. I've never actually drank a cup of coffee in my entire life, so I guess we're going to go with our cup of tea instead. So remember, this is just Thai food. This is just standard, you know, British black tea. A lot of people like it. Some people don't like it. It's readily available here as well, so it's something I've seen for a long time. But yeah, so that might take a little while to steep. I don't like my tea to be boiling hot. I'd prefer it to sort of be slightly warmer than lukewarm, that sort of thing. So we'll let that steep as we, I guess, take a run around the rest of the table. So first of all, let's just open up our pack of raisins. Remember, it's a little 25-gram pack. And these just appear to be sort of standard, almost golden raisins, I guess is the best way to describe them. They look really nice. They don't have too much of that sort of oily look that you probably would see out of osmotic raisins or whatever in American rations. They look almost wet, I guess. So these ones should be pretty good. Next we'll open up our protein bar. Remember, this is an Orifo product, raspberry, 35 grams. And this bar, well, that's 35 grams. This is per 100. So sort of break it down almost into a third. So it's almost 10 grams of protein in this bar, which is a pretty good level. And the packaging doesn't want to open up for me. So it's in a little bit of rough shape, but it does look like your sort of standard yogurt covered protein bar you could sort of pick up in any store, that kind of thing. It does have a lovely raspberry smell coming off it, so that's a good sign. And lastly, I guess we'll just open up our Fruit and Fun. Give this a little try, actually. So yeah, it certainly does have the look and consistency of baby food. It's got a fantastic smell. You can certainly pick up the blackcurrant, and that's really nice. It's pretty tart. You can sort of discern both of the flavors. It's not like one is overpowering the other. It's raspberry blackcurrant, so both of those fruits, of course, we're going to have sort of equal amounts sweet and tart together. And this is a really lovely combination. I know some people sort of can't wrap their head around the fact that you're eating something that's like baby food, but really, I mean, this is just the same as apple puree. And technically it is, because it's 58% apple. So you're basically eating applesauce. Yeah, it's fantastic. Just open up our little gum pack, I guess. All right, let's give our tea a stir. I don't usually use cream, sugar, nothing like that when I have tea. It's just, you know, straight up black tea. And let's just give it a try. It's my first time ever having Thai food, actually. It's been readily available here for a long time, but it's not sort of one of the popular teas. Usually something like Tetley or PG or Red Rose or King Cole or things like that would be the most popular teas around this area. But that's nice. It's not bitter. Now, I don't know if it's just because of the fact that the water's not boiling anymore and it didn't steep the whole way through. I'm not getting sort of that strong sort of flavor that it might have, but that's just a nice, lovely, mild, not bitter sort of tea. So that's quite enjoyable. Next, let's have a few of these raisins, just try them out. Use our spork to shovel them up. Get another look at those again. Yeah, it's strange. A few years ago, anyone would have offered me raisins, I would have said, no, that's okay. I don't like raisins. But ever since I've started with this sort of ration eating and reviewing and all that kind of stuff, you end up with raisins a lot. Not a lot, but, you know, you get them from time to time. And, of course, I'm just not going to throw something away just because I assume I don't like it. You got to try it. And I got to say, raisins have begun to grow on me. So these raisins, I would say, are probably the best I've ever had in a ration. They're not dry, they're not oily, just sort of right in that middle sort of ground. Great sweetness, doesn't seem overly processed. Yeah, they're fantastic. I'm quite happy with those. This probably is long enough now on the muesli. Let's open up the pack and pour this out. It seems to have reconstituted pretty well. get those last vestiges out of there. So yeah, this looks like a pretty nice portion of muesli. It's a lot more than what you would get in some of the other rations, and it just smells fantastic. You just get nothing but that sort of chocolate sort of smell wafting up here, mixed with the oats. It looks like it's going to be something that's going to be very enjoyable. So let's dig right in and give it a try. So you can get a little bit of the pieces of apple and whatnot in there as well, the little apple chunks. Of course, the chocolate by now has melted through, so it's got more of a chocolate milk look to it as opposed to just regular milk. So let's give it a try. Oh yeah, using warm water was the way to go for this. That probably has to be the best oatmeal, muesli, whatever you want to call it, that I've ever had. This is absolutely delicious. The chocolate's melted through. You can't really pick up the apple flavor too much. I think maybe because of the fact that I used warm water, which melted the chocolate. I think if I just used cold water, the chocolate, of course, wouldn't have melted, and you probably might have been able to pick up more of the apple flavor in each bite, but the chocolate kind of overpowers a little bit. Not to say that that's a bad thing, but the chocolate certainly is most prevalent. Now for the flavor for this. Let's just go back in, have some more, because it is fantastic. Have some more tea again, just to cleanse the palate. Well, that's nice. Finishing off after a mouthful of this with the tea. That's a really great flavor combination. I'm quite surprised by that. Lastly, guys, I guess we're going to try our raspberry protein bar. Of course, as you can see, it's in a little bit of rough shape, but that probably shouldn't detract from the flavor at all. Anyone who's ever had a regular protein bar, this is no different from those. It's got a really sort of dense core, a dense filling. It doesn't really have any sort of raspberry coloring or anything to it. It just has, you know, raspberry flavor, but it's nice. It's a good mix of the yogurt sort of flavor with the coating, and then you get the raspberry in the inside. And yeah, that's a really nice protein bar. So guys, all we have left really is just the 2 pieces of gum, and then we're finished. So just to try these out, I mean, these are just the regular V6 gum that you'd find in ORP or in other sort of rations, so it should be just sort of standard minty chewing gum, but we'll try them out. Now it says it's sweet mint, but it does have a fairly strong mint flavor right at the beginning. Of course, like most standard sort of gums, strong initial flavor, but then it kind of fades away quickly. But that actually, the flavor stays for a little while, so that's nice. And it is got a little bit of a sweeter kind of flavor to it than as opposed to if that was, you know, strong mint or spearmint or wintergreen or whatever you want to call it. So guys, this has been the breakfast portion of the Danish menu number 6, 24-hour ration. Once again, I'd like to thank Drew78 and Thortov for helping me get this. Drew78 on mreinfo.com also has an eBay store. It's under the name G-Balls, and Drew's got a lot of great stuff. You should go check out his eBay shop. He's got some really great stuff there, and I highly recommend doing business with Drew. He's fantastic. So we're going to come back to you as quickly as we can with the other 2 meals, and we'll finish up with the part 2. So thanks a lot for stopping by. Have a good one.